Before she was a chef, Clarice Lamb spent years traveling the world for her modeling career, discovering each city through its food. And when she decided to go to culinary school to become a pastry chef, she drew inspiration from those travels, but also from her heritage. Now she's out with a playful new cookbook, Breaking Bao. For today's dish, Nancy Chen sat down with Lamb in Brooklyn, New York, to discuss how her unique background inspired her innovative recipes.
We're rice rolling over here. Look at that.
In the kitchen and out, Clarice Lamb knows how to roll with the punches.
So there's your rice roll.
The chewy snacks made exactly like the ones Lamb used to enjoy in Hong Kong.
Oh, wait, hang on. Okay. What do you think? That's good.
A simple pleasure for the chef that she shares in her new cookbook, Breaking Bao, the Chinese word for buns. Her colorful and inventive recipes for baked goods like a mochi lamington and gochujang pizza rolls, bringing together sweet and savory tastes from around the world that still have a hint of home.
I love what you wrote in the book about how oftentimes food seems weird, but it's really just unfamiliar.
Growing up, people thought everything I ate was weird, everything I did was weird. I realized that it's more of I'm unfamiliar with what you're doing, or I've never experienced that before. It's something new, but you've never heard of these things before, but you eat it, and then it reminds you of something from your own personal history.
Lamb says her history has always been that of an outsider, as she split her childhood between Los Angeles and Hong Kong, unable to fit in anywhere.
Food was like my lifeboat. It was the thing that just kept me interested and just kept inspiring me over and over again.
That inspiration continuing into adulthood, resulting in the joyful innovation on display at our table, with dishes like a crispy yet chewy focaccia, topped with pork floss and scallions.
This is delicious. Thank you.
A lot of this is about texture, too.
Textures are very important to me. A variation on textures creates interest.
There's also chocolate-filled bomboncini, a spin on sesame balls traditionally served at dim sum.
I put a Ferrero in the middle.
An entire one.
An entire Ferrero Rocher, because they're very fancy. At least in Chinese culture, every time you go to a family gathering or a holiday or any kind of celebration, the gift to bring is a giant, the bigger the box of Ferrero Rochers, the better, right?
How do you eat this?
You just munch it like this. Ah.
I see it. We're so fancy.
Chinese barbecued pork, roasted carnitas style, packed baked buns that Lamb says remind her of Mexican conchas. The pastry chef also borrowed inspiration straight from her childhood kitchen, like in Mama Lamb's coconut croissants.
So this one is named after your mom.
And one of my best food memories is that my mom used to always make these coconut buns, or a gaimei bao in Chinese. My sister and I, because we were kids, we'd be like, I'm gonna make a ravioli. No, I'm gonna make a worm, or whatever. So now that I'm an adult and I don't want to make worm-shaped things, I was like, I made it look like a croissant, but this is actually my mom's recipe, just in a different shape.
These dishes are so creative. Where did these ideas come from?
It really just comes from having lived all over the world and craving things that I've eaten in one part of the world. And then also, I'm like, oh, you know what? That would taste good with this from another part of the world.
Lamb picked up those flavors in quick succession, starting at age 16 after becoming a model and living in Paris, London, Ibiza, Florence, and beyond.
Cape Town, South Africa, Hong Kong, Cebu in the Philippines, in La Mission in Mexico, Los Angeles, Toronto, San Francisco, New York.
Did you just name all the cities in the world?
I think so.
Surrounded by high fashion, it wasn't the clothing Lamb fell in love with overseas, but the pastries.
I think it was a combination of my agent telling me to only eat an apple a day and that's it. So I wanted to rebel and be like, no, I'm gonna eat all of the things and not just apples.
All the things.
All of the things. I just remember walking past all of these bakeries and looking at all of the laminated doughs and being like, how many layers are in there, and trying to visibly count them. And I was totally intrigued and I was so obsessed with them, and that's really what made me want to get into pastry.
In her mid-20s, she moved on from modeling and enrolled in the French Culinary Institute in New York, earning her Grand Diplôme in classic pastry arts.